All right, got the YouTube Live and TikTok going. We got one person on TikTok. We got Mr. Kevin, and then we just started the YouTube Live. Quickly going to go over a few of the alts that we're looking at right now. Market did drop a little bit more. We'll first kind of go over the long-term kind of macro time frames, 4 hour. Hour chart's not really macro, even 4 hours is not really macro, but when you're trading on the 5 minute, it definitely is a lot more macro. Starting off with Ethereum, we see, just looking at the volume first, decent amount of buy volume that came after hitting the 217 range. We see a strong wick to the downside. Clearly see that right here. Very strong wick to the downside, and then we're seeing somewhat higher lows. We see two wicks here, very similar distance. The previous one closed red, and then we got the next one to close green, with wicks kind of similar distance to the downside. We do see a kind of contraction in volume, getting tighter and tighter right at the zone there. And we have seen some more volume accumulation, it kind of seems like. Obviously, we have the massive bearish candle right here. There was a lot of transactions, but what this to me shows is when we initially got the price to enter that zone, we see that there's a tremendous amount of transactions that took place with the price hitting this area. This tells me that there's a lot of activity and a lot of buying going on here, because look at the previous candle. It moved all the way this far and it only really used not even half of the next candle. And the next candle did have more distance traveled up and down, but looking at the amount of transactions that took place in that hour candle compared to the previous one is a huge discrepancy. That is the first indication, and then we pushed to the upside with not a huge amount of buy volume, and then we came back down here, and then same thing, when the price fell and closed right at that zone, previous level of support, we see that there's a lot of transactions taking place, and then we see as the price continues, we see that the next candle shows that there is a significant amount of both buyers and sellers within the market. It ended up more bullish because the candle closed green, and look how far the price pushed all the way back up from where it initially was at one point at $209. It pushed all the way up and closed at 218, and then we've been consolidating since. So on the hour chart, looks pretty good. For a potential bounce. And then also, it's not just a random spot on the chart. Look on the 4 hour chart how significant this zone is. We see back in the 10th, 9th, and 7th of this year, we see that it was a very strong level of a support where we held multiple times before blasting off, forming a massive bullish move. And then kind of fast forward to where we currently are right now. When we initially hit that zone and the price got to that range on the 4 hour, we see that there was more buy volume that came in compared to basically any other time in 2019 or beyond. Let's just even look here. There was a tremendous amount, maybe compared to the 14th of January, but I'm not going to compare it like all the way, but we see that there was a lot of buy volume that came into the market when the price initially hit that zone. So we do see that there is buyers within the market. There are bulls, and then the next candle, the next candle after that, we see that the price did push to the downside, closed red, but we do see that there was a wick to the downside, signifying that there is still bulls in the market. So we'll see how the 1 hour looks right now. Already talked about this looking like a potentially promising zone, and then we'll just go over Ethereum. So looking at this zone on the 1 hour, let's just move this over. We can now see this is the 5 minute chart. So we see there's a descending zone right here. Kind of from this zone, you can see this line right here. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to tell on the 1 hour, but on the 5 minute, we see the anchor point, and then 1, 2, 3. So we see 4 zones in total, including the anchor point, that it is a valid zone. So it's a dependable area on the chart. Let's just extend this. Gonna stutter my words there. Caught myself. All right, so extend that beyond. So we kind of have an area where the price could go. We have a previous level of support here, acting as a nice new level of resistance. We have the price respect this zone twice so far. We do see a little bit of increasing buy volume. We can see this candle right here. Got a decent amount of buy volume, so you can't really say that there is a lack of demand right now. It looks like we are getting another test of the 219 level of resistance. We can even draw a minor level like so. So we're just in a consolidation, made a strong move to the downside, had a pullback, and now we're in a range, in a potential redistribution range or just a distribution range, and a potential markdown could appear. Surprisingly, we're not seeing that much sell pressure in the market, although there's quite a bit of sell pressure within different alts that we've seen. Not so much recently. Looking at the different actually alts in the market here, I had some dinner, but yeah, that's kind of why we're making this video. We'll see how they are. Got 2 people in the chat. Hello, people from TikTok. Just looking to see if we got any comments. Nope. All right, so let's continue on with this analysis. We're not really going to do anything until we have a nice area of consolidation where we kind of have at least 3 touches or at least 3 touches. But comparing this zone to what we currently see, I think if we do push to the downside, we've got to be somewhat cautious. I think actually the better thing to do is to be looking at BTC, because I think we did look at this beforehand, but this is obviously the market leader. So looking at the 1 hour, 4 hour, I just drew a level of support here around 85 to 84.70, where the price is potentially holding. But it's very, very overextended. We could draw a potential zone like so. Don't exactly know where it's going to hold. Looks like it's a little bit overextended in my opinion in terms of the wicks there. And then we're kind of getting the rising. So we could get one more push to the downside, but I think we'll have some level of a consolidation because we basically had the price move straight down with not much movement to the upside here. We do see a no demand, not really because the previous candle was less volume. This would be not so much a no demand because the next candle was not very bearish. Been seeing a lot of, I guess this is Bitfinex, but seeing a little bit of sporadic volume here. And on the 1 hour, I'm just going to turn this to the 4 hour for one moment while I get this other support. So I think that could be the level of support. We'll see where it holds. We don't exactly know, but I think that could be a potential level of a support that we may hold. So we'll see how the price reacts. It's still in a pretty strong move to the downside. Just been making lower lows and lower highs for a while here, trying to day trade shorts on these alts. Been doing pretty good so far, so we'll continue with that. Just looking at the different markets here. So also to kind of go over the day trading. So I think what we're going to do is how we're doing it right now is we're kind of going to do it live. We'll have the TikTok running for people who want to see us trade live in a sense, to kind of get a feel of what's happening. And then we'll also post it in the YouTube in the live. So then if people want to join in, and then I'll tell people in the crypto markets, and then for swing trades, I'll just post them. But at this point in time, I think that just makes the most sense. If you guys or girls think otherwise, let us know, and then we'll be able to discuss and figure out a way that we could do it potentially in a better way. But at this point in time, I think that's how we're going to do it. And then like we did for our trade here, you know, we said we're adding a small position here. Once it drops, and if the price drops and holds below this zone, we're going to add the rest of our position. And this was the trade plan. And then we got the price to push down. We didn't end up snagging all the take profits down below here, but we got 1, 2, and then 3. So we split it into thirds and then took the majority kind of in the middle here. If you average it out, got a risk reward of I think 2.3, somewhere around there. So that's not so bad. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to go home and take that win, be all right with that. So that's the kind of overview of how we're going to be managing the day trading situation, because it was a little bit challenging trying to give a explanation as to why we're entering when we're entering on such a small time frame, because I'm having to look at the order book, look at the time in sales, look at the price action, as well as write a paragraph using multiple time frames as to why we're entering this position, which was definitely a lot harder to do. But then if we're able to record it, then people can ask a question and then I'll be able to answer. And it's live, and it's just overall a much better situation in my opinion. So looking at time to buy the fear yet. Virtual Bacon. Hello, I'm just seeing if there's any more comments. I always like to wait till confirmation, so making sure you're able to see this. You know, in any market, let's just talk about market structure for a second. There's going to have to be a downtrend, and then it turns into consolidation, and then it turns into a bullish trend or an uptrend, right? So what we're looking for is, I'm personally not trying to catch the perfect bottom. I don't need to. That to me, I have no idea if it's actually going to go up, other than some support or resistance way back in historic time frames, or some indicator crossing or something that's, for me, not enough confirmation. I'd like to see like the most validity I can and the most confirmations I can. And for the price to make a move from a downtrend to a sideways consolidation to an uptrend, it needs to make from lower lows to lower highs. Oh, just give me one moment here. So if it's going like this, right? Lower lows to lower highs, because this is a lower low and this is a lower high. This is a lower low, and this is a lower high, to a consolidation, which is like this, where the price is bouncing from resistance to support to resistance to support. And then we get our uptrend, which is going to be a price potentially breaking this horizontal zone and then making a bullish push that is breaking resistances and then holding supports. So you got the 3 market trends here. And I personally wait until the market gives me indications that we are now in a bullish trend, making higher highs and higher lows, before I look to enter for longs. So, you know, right now I see a potential horizontal zone around here. So if we are able to hold this zone, that's great, but this is the high I'm targeting for the recent high. If the price goes above there and then potentially is able to hold this zone for a nice level of support, previous resistance, new level of support, then that's great. Then that could potentially be a reversal pattern. Then I'd connect these lows, find a potential level of a confluence where there's going to be sell pressure from a descending zone and a horizontal zone, giving me a higher probability situation of a potential reversal initially, depending on how the volume looks on different exchanges. So my bias will change a little bit, but it also depends on how the volume is. So if like the buyers are pushing the price up, but then there is a lack of buyers, so there's decreasing buyers coming into the market. Now, obviously, that is going to be showing me that just looking at the volume, it's not going to have enough strength to push the price higher like we would see if we were seeing increasing volume. That obviously shows that there's more and more buyers coming into the market, and we look at different exchanges to give us an idea of what the overall market is, using the CME exchange, using Binance, Coinbase, Gemini. That's about it, I believe. We sometimes use other exchanges, but Binance, mainly for the alts, gives us a lot more dependability because there's less transaction going on in different exchanges for the different alts compared to BTC. You can trade Bitcoin in almost every single exchange, obviously, but then when you're trading different alts, they're less traded So overall, there's more central hub on Binance compared to Bitcoin. What time frame is this? So this is the 60-minute chart, and I like to mainly look at the 4-hour and then 60-minute chart to understand the market structure and also the price action pattern that is currently occurring. At this point, nothing really happening right now. You know, you could look into the smaller time frames, probably potentially draw a descending trend line there. I personally wouldn't, because you got a very strong, that was a very poorly drawn line. You got a strong level of a resistance right here. So we'll see how it goes. But at this point in time, we're still looking for shorts in the market. Looking back at this thing right there. Perfect. All right, so inevitably, I think we could see a pullback, but because we push to the downside, we are looking for shorts. And if we do get a pullback to around the $9,400-$9,500 level, I think we could see a pretty strong rejection, because that would complete the head and shoulders. Now, obviously, this would be not the most, oops, that's the wrong one. This would have to come up all the way here, and that would form the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder. And the neckline would be pretty well skewed, but you could probably make it work. It's more or less the rejection that you're looking for, sort of like so. Or if you really actually zoom in, and then you see initially it touched the wick as a type A, like so, and then you get 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection, and then you get a lot of buy volume with a level of confluence there. So we'll see how the price reacts at this point. Like I said, looking for confirmation of a market structure shift. I don't want to be trying to perfectly pick market tops and bottoms. I'm not in that business. I'm in the business of picking high probability trades. Do you ever use the Fibonacci tool by Drake Wheeler? So, good question. Sometimes I do, but only when the price doesn't really have any more resistance or support to give me to allow me to see if there is a zone of sensitivity. So if I'm breaking an all-time high, I don't know where to take my profit because it's not giving me any level of previous resistance or support to go off of. So I can either use a simple risk-reward situation. So I set a take profit or look for potential take profits at risk-reward of 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, and then kind of set those. And then you're looking for potential minimum 2-to-1, and you're looking for optimal of 3 or 4-to-1 ideally, and then you preset those so you know what your targets are or what you know you're looking for. And then you're just trying to hit as many wins as you can while managing risk every single time, trying to reduce that risk at a reasonable rate so you're giving that price room, but you also want to ensure that you're getting that stop loss to break even at a reasonable rate, and then slowly inching it closer and closer if the price is able to hammer down. And especially if you are short-term trading, like using the 5-minute chart, you're trying to get that one impulse move to the downside. And if it gets there, it gets there. If it doesn't, you know, take the 2.5 or 2.2 risk reward, because in the end of the day, that's a pretty damn good risk reward to be taking home. So hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Drake Wheeler. So yeah, I sometimes do. I don't usually, but I mainly just stick to just the things that we talk about every single day. Oh, just give me one moment here. So the main thing we talk about is the 3 things. We're looking for price action, we're looking for market structure, and we are looking for volume spread analysis, VSA. So comparing the volume here within the price action to build a relationship between the supply and demand and the price movement that we are able to see within the chart. So that is how we build the story of our analysis here. So let's look to see what the other things are doing here. So we got on XRP. So let's just look at XRP. So knowing that there could be a potential level of support, now that we established this, we're still looking at potential maybe short-term trades here, because, you know, looking at even XRP here, On the 1 hour chart, we know that, let's just go back to the 4 hour. We know that there's a pretty strong level of buy pressure within this zone. Let's just make it green. And then, oh, did not want that there. Like so. And then we have a separate zone that is going to be down here. Like so. So we're currently at a potential level of support. We understand that, but this current trade is, you could say, a bit of a scalp. Looking at like 2.2, 2.3, 2.4-ish, something around there, is a potential opportunity, and we'll talk about it right now. XRP on the 5 minute, we see that the price is at the low right here, and then held the support, so we know that there's a pretty strong level of support, but we don't see a tremendous amount of buy volume come in. We see strong levels of sell volume, increasing levels of sell volume come in, and then we see decreasing buy volume. So we saw a climactic buy volume right here. We saw a tremendous amount of buy volume, and then we saw a decrease in the buy volume, and we haven't really seen an increase yet. Whereas, like we talked about on another chart, there has been an increase in buy volume where you see the buyers start to enter the market, giving us a little bit more of an indication that the buyers could start stepping in and holding levels of support. Now, talking about the 1 hour chart, we see two zones here. We see the major zone up top, and then we see a little minor zone kind of right here, and this is what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to be focusing on the smaller time frame. So that's the major structure that we're looking at on the 1 hour, and then building the story on the 5 minute, like so. You can see that this is that large zone that we talked about, which is right here, and this is that minor zone, and then what we currently see is, well, this is a pretty well respected area, previous level of resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance, and then I can't really see that, give me one moment. We can see a well-respected ascending trend line. Maybe we can readjust a little bit like so. And then we can just draw some minor levels here to kind of bring the consolidation a little bit more structure. Like so. Like so. So we are currently getting the market to make higher lows while holding the highs at a resistance, making horizontal highs, not being able to pass a certain area. So this is an ascending triangle. Within the consolidation, we see that there's increasing sell volume coming into the market with decreasing buy volume where there should be more buy volume because it's above a support. It is just close to a resistance where buyers should be fighting and battling it out, trying to break above the resistance. But then we're not seeing that at all. We're just seeing an increasing sell pressure and a very low amount of buyers, which is volume distribution. So potentially we could see a little bit of a drop here. And that is what we're potentially looking to enter on. So I think I will just bring this down like so. Obviously, we're not going to just enter randomly. We want to have a lot of confirmations when we'll talk about that within this video. So we will bring that zone out like so. Now, hopefully, everyone understands the kind of comparison of the 1 hour chart. Maybe that gives a lot more context, perhaps, where this is that zone right there, and then we get to push down, and that's that consolidation. This is this consolidation, and now we're getting a move to the upside, which is this pullback right here. So we're getting a pullback to the upside on a previous level of support that we saw in the past. We can see that pretty well right here. And what we're going to see is if we're able to get a pullback and then a push back down to at least test these lows again, which just looking at where the price is right now, is looking like a 2.4-ish percent level of take profit, which isn't crazy, but let's say you are risking 0.8 or 1%, 2.5 or something around that risk reward is really solid. If you're getting that consistently, that's a great risk reward, and if you have your win-loss ratio at a decent level, you are able to make a good amount of money and let that money compound over time, and just keeping a level head and understanding that it takes time to build is important as a trader. So that's kind of what the plan is if we are able to get the price to potentially, let's just get our thing right here. So we're looking for the price to initially break our ascending trend line. That's our price action break. That's our confirmation for the price action. The second confirmation is the market structure. We need the price to make a lower high. So right now we're currently testing this low right here. Right, we need the price to break this, which is currently our zone of confluence. We have the ascending zone connected the anchor point, and you have 1, 2, and you have the third support held right here. So we have 3 zones and then the anchor point, which is making it 4 zones, making it a dependable zone. And then once we get that, that's the price action. That is the ascending triangle breakout to the downside. And then you get the market structure. The price breaks the higher low here and makes a lower low. And now we're looking to enter on the lower high, because this is the high, this is a lower high. We're looking to see a lower high once the price breaks. And hopefully by that time, we see even more significant decrease in the buy volume, or we just continue to see the amount that we're seeing right now, because this is a staggeringly low amount of buy volume right now. And then we see the sellers continue or even increase more in selling pressure. So that would be what we would be looking for. And let's say we enter where we would be wanting to enter. We would put our stop loss above a recent high, or the most recent high. Just looking at it, normally, right? Like, you're not going to be looking at it zoomed in super close. You got to look at where your take profits are. Looking at what you're looking for take profits before you really look at risk. So I just go recent high, because I'm not looking for crazy risk rewards, and I'm not looking for a risk reward that's 1-to-1. I'm looking for 2.5 to 3.5 is pretty solid. And then if we get to 4, that's great. But that's really my wheelhouse, and that's where I like to see the price go for me to start taking some profits off. So I like to know where my different risk reward parameters are before I even look to enter. So that's the potential opportunity that we have here. We get a push to the downside, a pullback, validating the new resistance, which was the previous level of support. Looks like a good potential. We'll see BTC if it starts to push back down, because we had a little bit of a pullback, as we can see, and we're basically now testing the previous support as a new resistance, which, hey, is not a bad option, because we could do pretty well with that. And we're talking about this one right here. So if we really zoom in, this is that retest we're talking about. This one right here. Previous level of support, just the wicks held, as we can see. And then we got the price to break down, and then now we're getting a pullback, validating the previous support as a new level of resistance. We see decreasing sell volume coming in, decreasing buy volume, coming in. Not a lot of sell volume coming in now. We still got 9 minutes until this 1 hour candle closes, so there's not a whole lot of sell volume coming in, but wouldn't be surprised if we dove a little bit deeper into the support range here, because we got a lot of momentum to the downside, and I'm in no way wanting to try to go against the trend. No way. I'd rather just continue until I see a market structure shift, which right now I see a support turn into a resistance. I see lower lows, lower highs. So in no way is this a market structure shift in this point. So going to have that same bias I currently have. So looking at XRP, I think I'm going to be moving XRP over here, and I'll be moving Link over here, just so I can see it on the 1 hour chart, kind of where we're looking for potential take profits. And if the price pushes down even further, we got a good understanding. And then we also have the BTC 1 hour chart on this time frame as well. And then we'll just move this over here, because this is the 5-minute chart where we can kind of see an entry that we could have for this potential move. So that is XRP. Very interested. Let's look at Link. Did pretty well on the last trade here. Pretty happy about that. Just erase everything, start from scratch. We know that that's a very important zone on Link. Let's just look at this zone right here. That's the support zone, which is now a new level of resistance. I'm just making sure that, well, I'm not really making sure, I'm just analyzing the chart really. But a lot of wicks here, a lot of wicks, a lot of pushes to the upside. We do see an ascending trend line here. Give me one moment. I'm just going to check the comments here. Main Street Wolf joined. How's it going? Yeah, so just analyzing the markets here, basically. Not a whole lot. More of a Q&A time for people to ask questions about trading, about markets, about crypto, blockchain, anything in that regard. And currently looking at Link paired with, well, not paired with anything US Tether really, but looking at, where's Link right here? Oh wow, where did I put it? I think it was right here, wasn't it? LTC, oh, Link right here. Okay, so perfect. So we got this below the previous level of support, new level of resistance. We do see increasing buy volume, which isn't ideal to have on any short, obviously, but we do see higher lows, squeezing the price closer towards the apex of the pattern. The apex of the pattern is, let's talk about market structure, because this is very important stuff. So we got our anchor point right here. We have our first reaction of the descending zone, and then we got our second reaction giving it a potentially dependable zone. So we got 3 touches, which is a potentially dependable zone. We need 4 in order to make it a dependable area that we can then use to trade. Now we can sometimes use 3, but ideally we want 4. So before the price does come and hit this zone and we short, we'd like to see the price come and retest this high for, again, another level of a resistance where you get some level of sell pressure. And this area is where we're going to be looking very, very closely on the 5-minute chart for potential short entry. If the price does go and push up back to this zone because we're holding higher lows, we can see very, very well respected, and the price comes consolidating all the way up to the apex of the pattern, and it actually breaks the zone holding above on the 1-hour chart. Well, then we're looking for a pullback, validating the previous resistance as a potential new support, validating the previous resistance as a new level of support. But one thing we do want to be looking at is the volume, is obviously because we can see if it is in a potential distribution or accumulation phase, and we can see right now there is more buy volume coming into the market than sell volume overall. There's a significant amount of buy volume coming in, and we do see increasing buy volume, especially within the consolidation here. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. Definitely not going to want to long yet, but looking at all the indications that the market is able to give you, do want to keep your eyes open and really make sure that you're entering on the highest probable situations. So that is Chainlink. Just looking at XRP here real quick. Let's go back to the setup we had before, where we have XRP right here. So the price has moved up a little bit, basically right to our key level of resistance. We do not want to enter here because of just the resistance zone. We want to ensure that we're now breaking market structure by forming a lower low, and then we're wanting to enter on the lower high. So the 3 criteria that we have ensures that we don't enter trying to pick a top in a way, because we're not trying to short a higher high. We just wouldn't do that, right? We're looking for the market structure to shift in order for us to enter. Greetings from Mexico. Hello. Thank you for joining us from Mexico. I appreciate that. See if any, are we getting into a uptrend? This isn't Bitcoin, but for BTC, we are currently not yet. We are holding a previous support. So let's just do a quick little mini lesson here. So we are holding a previous level of a support. So the price is making a downtrend, and the price made a level of support where there was buyers in the market. You see buyers here pick up the price because the price started to come down and then it came right back up, indicating there's buyers in the area. And then the second time it tried, it still got a little bit. So actually this isn't entirely correct. Let's just say the price came back up like this, and then it actually cracked down and then held, and then now it is coming back. So we did get an attempt for buyers to push the price up again, but the sellers were too strong because the momentum was too strong towards the downside, and now we are basically holding a previous support as a new level of resistance, like so. So not an ideal position for longs, but if you are a short seller, it's a pretty good opportunity here if you are looking at alts as well. So yeah, we already discussed, I'm not trying to call a perfect bottom. I don't need to. I'm looking for market structure, and that is what I base my trades off of. Not solely, but it definitely helps get me out of a lot of potential opportunities that could turn out into, or potential opportunities that could turn out into not so good opportunities. Like, you know, trying to enter, like when I see people like who say like they entered right here, like it makes sense if this was like a daily chart and then you entered on like a 5 or hour chart and had some sort of validation. But if you just saw, you know, the price slam down here and then you're just hoping that that support holds without any other confirmation other than the previous historic volume, like nothing recent is telling you that there's buyers there. Nothing. You're just hoping that they're going to be there, which in my opinion is not enough to enter me into a trade. I need to see validation right here and then when the price is actually hitting it. Is it going to give me indications that there's buyers there? You know, that for me is a higher probability situation, and I'd rather enter that. Can you speak closer to mic? Hopefully, this is a little bit better. Pretty solid. Yeah, link 5 minute. Could draw a trend line. Oops, that definitely did not go as planned. We could draw a trend line here. So theoretically, we could see, you know, a small bullish push from here to here, but that's 5%. So that's not such a small bullish push, right? So that is a potential hedge, or that is a potential just straight up trade. If we do see it, we're not really fighting the trend all too much. You know, if you look at the longer term time frame, obviously you are. But, you know, we've tested that zone before. We're seeing higher lows come in. Now we're seeing consolidation. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a quick little pump back up to this zone, which would only really be a 5% move. So, seems like a lot, but then also does not. So let's get that right there. So that looks all right. On the 5 minute, this is link, and I'm just going to go on here. And XRP looks like it's going down a little bit. BTC is holding up. Just created its new 15-minute candle. We've seen the last 3 candles on the 15-minute chart on the Heikin Ashi candles close red, indicating that the momentum is more towards the sell side. Totally makes sense. Oops. Yeah, I almost tripped there on the wires. On link, we can extend that one more back. Yeah, it's a potential opportunity here, in my opinion. Let's just make it a little bit smaller. I don't need it that massive. But, we got a pretty strong, well-respected ascending level of support. And then we got a descending level of resistance that has 3 touches on it, giving it a potentially dependable zone. And then once we're able to see it break, then obviously we're able to capitalize on this potential entry. So what I'm going to do is take a picture of it real quick and then post it in the Discord, and then we'll able to potentially there we go. And then do a quick post about it because I've already discussed that we are doing this live here. Is this link? Nope, this is XRP. That is this trade, which we're looking to short. Just thinking. Let's look at potential key zones that we're going to be dealing with. First off, supports, definitely a key zone right here. Very easily identifiable. And then we got our key zone right here. Pretty easy. It's a little bit bigger. I don't want to make it too large. I think we got a couple zones here. I think the first major one's going to be right here. So this is going to be the market structure high that we want to pass in order to validate the market structure high that we need to see. So that's the break that we want. And then we're probably going to get a little bit of hesitation around here, which is not so bad. That might be the higher high, and we'll hopefully enter on the higher low. And then hopefully we see a little bit more buy volume, and we'll try to make a quick scalp here. But if we get a low here and then break above and then kind of catch the low, that's 4 or 3.8-ish%, and then we'll only really be risking maybe 1.25, maybe 1%, depending on how that breakout looks. But we'll see how it goes. Going to be looking at XRP here to see if it breaks, and if it breaks to the upside, I don't really think I'm going to be looking to enter on XRP. Just looking at potential ascending zones here that we could be holding up with. So we see that zone right here. To me, definitely looks more of like a wedge. And I'm kind of going to have that bias because it's good to have kind of a different bias for each trade. Because you got two trend, you got a this more or less is better suited for a move to the upside because the descending zone is not validated or violated, meaning that the price broke it. It's a fresh, clean descending trend line that has not been broken. So it's a higher probability and it's a higher dependability than what we can see if it is broken. It is a valid zone. We can see the anchor point, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So it's a very dependable zone. But it's nice to be breaking a clean zone that has not been broken yet for a descending or ascending zone for a clean breakout. So we'll be looking at that. XRP looks like it is moving to the upside here. So no entry yet. We'll just see how it reacts. Because if it does actually break, obviously, then we wouldn't want to be entering. But if it rejects and comes back down pretty hard, we might want to be looking to enter because, there's a lot of people who might have wanted to enter there. I'm looking at it in a more of a bearish view. Potentially capturing these lows again, that would be nice around here. So that's the first definite level to take profit, where you got a risk reward of around 2, and then you got 3, and then you got 4. So we'll see if the price hits at the lows here. We'll definitely be looking at the 2 if the price does get to that level. So see a break here. We'll look for that higher high and then the hold of the higher low before we really look to enter or anything. Get our position here. Now, if this is the higher high, what we're probably going to do is have to put the stop loss below the low, which is going to be right here. Looking at the risk reward, it is not ideal, so we could move it a little bit higher depending on where we're going to push up and where we're going to pull back to. We don't exactly know where that's going to be, but it all kind of depends on A, if we're going to break this zone of confluence, and B, if it's able to break the market structure high, like here, and then the same high that we held the 2 previous times. So we still got 2 minutes on this candle. We do see a no supply candle right here, giving us an indication that there's a lack of supply. Potentially shifting the price from a move to the downside and then to the upside. We don't want to be entering until we get a confirmation that we are going to get a pullback. There's validation that there's buyers in the market. What I will also be looking at, what did we take a picture of? Yep, so add it here. Going to be entering if the market. All right, and then we will make this a little bit bigger and kind of talk about our plan, because we do see buy volume coming in, which is great. What we're looking for is that pullback. We're not wanting to chase. We still got a minute and a half here on the 5-minute time frame, so we'll see how it goes. I'd like to see the pullback, and then we want to see a small amount of sellers enter the market on the pullback, and then once that is validated, then we can look to enter, because overall it looks a little bit better in the overall market. BTC is definitely still not really seeing some higher highs or anything, but the alts look a little bit better. Let's type in what we're going to do for link here. All right, so I got that in the day trading alerts. And that is basically it. We haven't entered yet. Got the 5-minute to close. That is really nice to see that it is now closed above the zone. Now we can call it a dependable or a broken zone. That's a potentially dependable area. So if the price is able to come back and validate it, that would be great. And then we'd look to enter. Looking at risk rewards, I think that is kind of what we're looking for at 2.3-ish, depending on where the price pulls back to, obviously. If the price pulls back to a further level, obviously we'll get a higher level of reward and a reduced amount of risk, which is an increased risk reward ratio. But we'll see how the next few candles go. So going to stick and be patient, not do anything without understanding what we're doing first. So basically we're looking for the pullback, and if we see it, we're looking for injections of buy volume. We could enter a feeler trade when we get that first pullback, and then we might want to get a validation of buyers by seeing that second wave of injection of buy pressure coming into the market. giving us even more of a confirmation. But the 5-minute candle closure with increasing amount of buy pressure is really good to see. I'm happy that that happened because there is now higher buy volume than the recent sell volume that we've had in a while here, which to me shows that there's a decent amount of buy volume. So here's that pullback we're seeing right now. Still got 3 minutes, but we can see right here that is what we're looking for. And also drawing the pattern on this, all we're looking for is a trade from here to another high here. So 4%ish, right? So we're counter trend trading because the major trend is to the downside, but all we're looking for is a move from this zone here to around this zone here, to the high that we've seen, the resistance. It's pushing into the resistance, right? So not ideal because it's counter trend trading, but we do see a decent amount of buy volume be interested in the market, which is good for us. And then hopefully that's able to get the price up. And then also looking at the lows here, we're making higher lows, indicating that there are buyers interested in the market. And we can see that right here. So looking at now the 5-minute chart again, we can see, let's just move this a little bit here. So that's the two charts there. So we got 47 minutes still on the 1 hour, and we got 2 minutes left on the 5-minute. If we don't get the pullback, we just don't enter. Simple as that. We got a criteria and we stick to it. If we get it, that's great. If we don't, that is unfortunate, but that is just how it goes. We will wait for the pullback. We will wait for the lower high to come in. If it doesn't, then unfortunately we will not be able to enter. If it does, that is terrific. Then we will be able to enter. So we'll kind of do the trade plan once, or if the low comes in. If the higher low holding the previous resistance has a new level of support, when that comes in, then we'll be looking to enter. But at this point in time, we do not see that right now, so we're not going to be entering. And then we got some highs here that we'd be looking to aim to. We got a little resistance here that we will probably have a little bit of hesitancy to moving above. But once it does go above that zone, we can pretty well move the stop loss almost to break even, which is great. So we'll try to find a nice little small pullback that won't see a lot of supply, and then we'll get a quick push to break above this zone, so then we're able to limit our risk quickly. That's the overall trade plan, and then basically we're not going to try to go above those highs because, like we said before, within the 1 hour and 4 hour time frame, this is a pretty major zone of supply where sellers are going to be located. We are counter trend trading, so we want to make sure that we kind of tighten up our risk reward a little bit more. Like we're having a risk reward of maybe 2.4, 2.5, maybe even something less, or 2. So I personally am going to lower my risk reward if I'm counter trend trading, and I'm going to increase or look to gain a little bit more risk reward when I'm trend trading. So if I'm going with the trend. So not seeing the pullback just yet. But we do see a lot of buy volume in the order book. That's for sure, right? So that's good to see. But we'll see if the next couple candles provide us with that pullback we're looking for. Okay, so I was definitely talking away from the mic there. It's not a mic, it's a phone. So it's definitely a little bit more challenging. But hopefully that makes it a little better. We're looking to enter on our link trade. We broke to the upside. We are hopefully going to experience a nice little pullback here. And we can actually, what we're going to do is move this like so. So now we can clearly see what we're looking to enter in. We just don't really need that here. All right. So what we're basically looking for is the price to pull back to these levels right here, somewhere around there, and then we want to see the reduction of sellers. So we don't want to see that much sellers on the way down, and we want to see a decent amount of sellers when the price starts to come back up. Ideally, in the perfect world, if things go according to plan. And the price continues to go up and we get no pullback, well, unfortunately, we just will not enter, because I do not like to enter on positions or entrances that just have a continuous move towards the upside without any real validation that I'm breaking a zone. I like to know I'm breaking a key zone before I look to enter, and the only way I know that is, well, there's a couple ways. You could look for candle closures. Right there was a candle closure, so that is a confirmation that this is a potentially sensitive zone. But then also, I'd like to see the pullback validating the previous resistance, previous market structure high as the new low. That for me is what I look for in a breakout. We're not really seeing that just yet. And let's look at XRP here. XRP is moving up as well. Let's see Ethereum. Might look to, let's just see this move towards the upside until our key zone. 2%, not amazing, but not bad either. Way better. Hopefully that is a little bit better. But thoughts on CODX? So I do not trade stocks currently, so I'm not really going to be looking to analyze different stocks at this moment. I'm just looking to enter this potential long on Link counter trend trade, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of alts are pulling back here on the smaller time frames. Made pretty good money on Link before a little bit earlier today, and then now we're coming back and trying a second shot here, see if we could pull a little bit of profits off of Link. Quick little day trade here. But all we're waiting for is that pullback. So we'll see if any questions come in. My boyfriend will be selling Binance algos again soon. Pass the word for crypto people. So he's selling algorithms to trade people's money. I hope that it is well back tested for sure. If it is a profitable system, that's fantastic. That's great. But yeah, you just really want to ensure that you're getting a system that is profitable for sure. So, getting a pullback now. We see looking for that higher low to come in right here. The previous market resistance, previous market resistance, previous market resistance, turning into a new level of support. BTC isn't super strong right now, obviously. So we'll be a little bit more cautious. Let's just quickly look at the hour chart. We are trying to squeeze, pushing the price up. Looking at the volume, we see a tightening of volume where you get a very, very tight amount of volume. And, you know, I do think that that leads to not an explosion, but an aggressive move either towards the upside or downside. So let's just bring this back down here. Looks like we got our pullback. We got a decent amount of sell pressure coming in. I think what I will do is put on a potential feeler trade here, and that will be the low. And then let's get the limit order here, because we did hold that zone, and a feeler trade is in a full position, right? We're looking for dual injections of buy volume, ideally. You know, so you get, this is our first injection of buy volume after breaking the zone. And we want to see the price get 2 injections of buy volume, ideally before we look to enter on this completion of a higher low. So we'll see if the price is able to hold. I'm really interested in potentially looking to enter, but I don't want to enter just yet. I want to see a double confirmation of the buyers entering the market, ideally. But you know, feeler trades are definitely open on the table. So feeler trades are like a small position. So you know, if we take our first trade right here, 1% really for a risk, which is, in my opinion, a very small, a decent amount. So let's do that, and then limit. Okay, so I got a small position here. We'll see where it goes. And then I'll get the entry price, 3.7. That's where I got that right there. So, and then we'll put a stop loss probably around here, and then it's just a feeler trade. We want to see 2 injections of buy pressure coming into the market. We see the price start to hold right here, but like always, we want to ensure that we are getting 2 injections of buy pressure before really putting any amount of significant capital in. So just a feeler, testing the water kind of in theory, and then getting us more interested in the pair. And what is a feeler trade? It is 10-20% of what you would put. So let's say you're going to put $100 in a position. You'd put maybe $20 or $10 to start, and then you'd put the $80 or $90 when you have more of a confirmation. So that is what a feeler trade is. So we're seeing a decent amount of both buying and selling action, with the price jumping back up and forth, leaving a wick down where the current price is. And then how long have you been trading stocks? So I don't trade stocks, I trade in the cryptocurrency market, but that answer would be a little over 4 years. I've been investing, trading, learning about it, doing it, kind of taking action in that regard. But traded stocks initially, and then I moved to the foreign exchange market and the Forex market, and then I came here because I thought cryptocurrencies are extremely cool. They're disruptive. It's an emerging market, and I very much find it a very interesting place to be at right now. So we'll see. I just think that the future has a lot of potential. Looking at blockchain and what it can disrupt in this world. Personal view. So you can see the price is still trying to hold above the zone. See, it's 30 seconds until the candle closes. The BTC chart is not looking phenomenal. Looking at XRP, this is our short that we're looking to enter here. Have not entered this or anything. We're looking still for the price to break our ascending zone. We'll even get rid of that. We'll kind of push this down lower. And that is our entry signal that we're looking for this zone. And then for Link, we're looking for 2 injections of buy volume, or at least some significant push, a potential move to the upside, and then a potential pullback. But we'll see how the prices react here, because right now there's not a tremendous amount of buy volume within the order book, but we do have a small position in because it is a pretty valid zone. It's a key zone of confluence. We could see the price drop a little bit more, but I don't have a whole lot in it, so we could even drop the price from 1.5. Let's do 1.5, somewhere around there. And if we see some buyers start to enter the market, then we'll add. But just getting a feeler in is not a bad thing. But I definitely do think I will be putting that in my sheet here. So this is a symmetrical triangle, I would say. And then let's just see here. All right. So we got that going, which is good. So that is still on its way. And that's kind of the last stop loss I'm willing to set on it. So if we do see more buy volume coming into the market, that's great. If not, then I'm going to leave it there and then see how the price reacts to these zones. Looking for a scalp, right? One solid push to the upside. We're not looking for a very trending, strong, making a series of higher highs and higher lows. We're not looking for that. It's a short day trade on the 5-minute chart, right? We're scalping this. It'll be a 3-4% move. So looking at difference here, not seeing really much people on the YouTube. Definitely a little bit of sell pressure here from BTC, but 2 minutes until the 15-minute candle closes, and then 2 minutes till the 5-minute candle closes as well. We've got a half an hour on the 1 hour candle. So we'll see where some of these candles close. But I do like XRP as a short still, even if the price is still continuing to trend higher up. I do not mind. I will continue to see if the price is able to hold this ascending trend line. If it is, that's great. And if it's able to continue to trend higher, then obviously we will be looking at Link for a potential opportunity for a long. We've got a very small feeler trade in here right now, and if we're able to hold and get 2 injections of buy pressure coming into the market, then we'll be looking to enter, because then we get a validation that there's buyers in the market. And with that, looking at VSA volume spread analysis, we can then combine and build a relationship and build a story of the price action on the small time frames, so we can then have that quick push of volume, getting our quick 2.3 risk rewards somewhere around there, 2.1, 2.4, somewhere around there, and that's what we're looking for, and then getting out. So ideally we're looking for a risk reward of minimum of 2 to 1, and I do think that this could provide it. But we are counter trend trading, so we want to ensure that we are taking our profits a little bit quicker and then getting out of there. Compared to being in a very trending market, you don't want to be. You basically want to be trending for those and letting your profits run if they are. But then in a counter trend, you might want to be looking to take profits a little bit quicker. So we're seeing the price hold here on the 5-minute chart. Not seeing a lot of buy volume, but obviously it looks like it's closing green, so that is good for our small feeler trade right here. All right, so we got 1 injection of buy volume, and then we'll just post that in the chats like so. And then I will, so this is basically what we're doing, is we're posting our chats in our Discord. We host a Discord where we have a bunch of different discussions. We have day trading, we have swing trading alerts, and we have crypto markets. We have PDF libraries where we host a bunch of PDFs that we built, video content where we provide education on how to trade the markets, education on blockchain, and a bunch of stuff that pertains to how to make money in the digital space as well. So a bunch of cool information. But mainly it's trading and investing in the cryptocurrency space. That is our bread and butter. So not seeing a whole lot of questions, but if anyone is interested in asking a question, definitely drop a question below, and we'll be able to help you out there. So we see a little bit more sell pressure coming in, getting that second pullback, so then we potentially will have a second injection of that buy volume coming into the market. We had the push to the upside have more buy volume than the pullback that we saw right here. So that to me is a little bit more of volume accumulation, which is good to see. Good for our thesis, good for our bias. And then this current candle is looking pretty decent right now. Great analysis. Thank you very much. Hopefully the mic is a little bit better. I made it a little bit close. Thanks. Can you do more vids on scalping strategies? Yeah, this is kind of what we're trying to do right now is do more videos on scalping. And this is also a YouTube live as well. We're going to post it with like this entire video. So then you're going to see from start to finish what we're looking at, what we're going to talk about. Mainly the people who are interacting is from TikTok, but the video will be shown on YouTube as well. How can I understand Bitcoin better? Research, man. Research and, take time to try to digest information, go from the very basics. Bitcoin and trading, it just depends on, I guess, what you're looking for. But overall, with learning anything in life, it takes time. It takes a long time to digest information and actually be able to understand it. And then from understanding it to be able to actually turn it into actionable information that you can use to make investments with. Because it's one thing to know what Bitcoin is, but then it's a whole other thing investing in it, right? So just something to keep in mind. It's one thing to know how blockchain works and all that, but if you don't know how market cycles works, unless you're like investing long term, obviously it's fine. Then you just dollar cost average and buy X many dollars per month or whatever your plan sets out to be, and then what you would do is basically buy a monthly amount and then not look at the chart, not look at the price, because you believe in the long-term value of it. Whereas if you're a trader, if you are looking at trades based on charts, based on analysis, technically, then obviously you will need to know how to read a chart, how to read volume, how to read supply and demand, how to read the story of a chart, and all that stuff. So right now we got our second pullback here. We can see the buyers are holding the price at this zone. We got around 30 minutes until this candle closes. Not seeing that much sell pressure at all within this candle. Obviously, there's not a tremendous amount in the previous one either, but looking at the 3 minute, we're just kind of in a consolidation here. So we'll see how this next candle, because we got our first wave of buy volume injection coming in right here. So let's get, I think this is the right one. Yes, we got our first wave of buy injection right here, and then we're hopefully going to get our next wave of buy injection right here, pushing the price up with increasing buy volume. That would give me a little bit more confirmation that we're going to get a move towards the upside. But right now we already did hold, which is nice. So, putting on another little feeler entry at the lows there, don't think would be a bad scenario. We got around not too much risk on right now, so honestly I'm just looking at okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more right there. This is XRP. I haven't put anything in yet. I'm just making sure things are looking in order. BTC doesn't look awesome, but there's increasing buy volume for BTC there on the 15-minute chart. So that tells you something for sure. 3-minute on Link does not look awesome. In what range do you visualize BTC for next week? Ooh, well, it is Wednesday. Next week, I'll let you know on the weekend. I'll see what the rest of this week comes out to be, and then we'll do an analysis on the weekend. So if you stay tuned on Sunday night, we'll do one, or I guess Sunday afternoon, and then you'll be able to know exactly what our thoughts are in that analysis. Does the pattern day trading rule apply to Bitcoin and other crypto as well? The answer is no. The pattern day trading rule does not apply to cryptocurrencies. You can trade whatever you want, whenever you want, without any limitations whatsoever. Because you can't trade like unlimited dollars. I don't exactly know what the cap is, but for every retail trader, basically, you can have the free will to trade as much as you want, as many times as you want. There's no cap on how many transactions or how many placed trades you can enter. So that's obviously really, really good for people starting to try to enter the market without having too much capital, because 25K is quite a bit for a pattern day trading rule in order to actually start trading quite frequently, whereas crypto is absolutely no hesitation or no limitations in that. So Link sees that second wave of buy pressure come into the market. BTC still has not broken above its level of resistance there, so I'm not loving that. So we'll see where it closes. We'll see how it goes. We got 6 minutes on the 15-minute. So the question is, do I add more now, or do I wait for confirmation more from BTC, because it's still holding below our resistance? It could be a little easy rejection. And we only have our feeler trade in right now, and we are thinking about potentially adding more, but we're not sure just yet. I'd like to see the 15-minute candle, which is around 6 minutes left, which would mean that we have to wait one more candle for Link before we enter a full position, which would mean that we could reduce the entrance that we would be having. You know what? I'm going with my plan. On when this candle closes, I'm not going to enter just yet, but I want to see the candle close. When the candle closes, I'm going to put a little bit more of my position. We'll see where this closes. If it closes pretty bullish. If it closes strong, that's great. I don't mind paying a little bit higher of an amount of money to still get an entry. We're not seeing a tremendous amount of transactions hold that price up, but won't be entering a full position, but definitely entering a little bit more, because this is the double injection we are looking for within this pattern. That is what we're looking for, so we have to definitely keep that in mind. And if we do break to the downside, we do have an option with XRP, although it's getting a little bit late, 9:40 basically right now, but this is option number 2 if Link fails. And this is why we always wait. Because if that was red, then that wouldn't indicate anything. So not awesome of a close. Definitely not awesome of a close, because we see a wick back down to the downside. I don't love that candle closure that we have right there. We'll see how this one looks with the current order book we have in the markets, and looking at the volume we see within the different alts as well as BTC. It's not seeing anything crazy here. And seeing a little bit of buy volume come in within the time in sales and the order book. But overall, we are not seeing a tremendous amount of activity. Just waiting to see a little bit more of a confirmation here. Patience is the name of the game. We don't want to enter just yet. We already have a little bit of a position in, and then we're looking to add a little bit more. but we do not want to enter too early. We're just going to be patient and see if that price is able to see a little stronger close here. Or if we get BTC to kind of come higher up. And we are also looking at the 15-minute candle closure of the Heikin Ashi candles on BTC as well. So that's something to consider. So I think what I am going to do is, because it held that support, I'm now going to reduce my risk here. It was at 1.5. I'm going to move it up because it held as a nice level of support. So that's now going to be the level of support. I will put a stop loss. And don't think I'm going to enter just yet, but I'm looking to, because BTC is now breaking. Okay. 3.7. Seeing what entry is good here. Okay, so we got a little bit more added right there, basically exact same value. Because BTC is moving up more, and we added right there to our position because we see more buy volume coming in within this 5-minute candle. We see more transactions taking place. And then we got not a whole lot of actual amount of risk here, which is pretty good to see. So BTC closes here. That's looking pretty decent, because if it's able to push up even higher, that is great. And if it isn't, obviously, then we'd be looking a little bit more bearish. But we're looking for a quick move here. We're not looking for anything crazy. We're not looking for anything with, longevity. We're just looking for a move to the upside, get our risk reward, and then get out. So, that is our risk. So let's set that. So that is there. All right, so we got our stop loss set, so that's fine. And then now that we got our stop loss determined, we can now assess potential levels of take profit here. So we got a first level of risk reward of 2, which is going to be right here. Definitely seems attainable. We just get above this level of resistance right here. Oh, it seems to not want to be working right here. There we go. And then we got 3, which is right here. So I think that's what we're just going to be sticking with. We don't really want to go for a 4 on a counter trend trade. We're just trying to get a quick push to the upside and then basically get out not too far after that point. So that's the hope. We'll see what this next candle brings to the table. Opens pretty strong. Let's see if it can continue. All right, so I got that going. Okay. So we don't want to add more yet. We already added to our trade here in that exact same area. We have our risk set. So we're just sitting pretty right here, seeing if it's able to push above. And then if we're able to get an entry kind of at the push and then a pullback at these lows here, our average would be a little bit higher. But that's okay. We get even more of a confirmation that this is going to move towards our key level of resistance because it made a higher high, right? Because it broke this market structure, and it could break even the higher market structure right here. So we'll see how it goes. And XRP obviously is not looking like anything we want to touch right now. And then all the other markets are just a little bit consolidating. But we don't really mind because we're looking for a little move up to the upside, which I think could happen. So we got 13 minutes till this 15-minute closes, and then also 12 more minutes or around the same time as this 1 hour candle closes. So if we close below the zone, if we're not able to get above the zone, then we probably won't add more. But if the price does close up above this area, there's obviously going to be a little bit more bullish sentiment, giving us a high probability that we could move towards the upside. So we will see how it goes. Right now, we got our stop loss set. We got our sights on some possible take profits here, giving the price room to breathe. Stop loss like here, around 1.2% of a stop loss, which is not so bad. And that is basically the trade right now that we're doing. What are your thoughts about Binance platform? I absolutely love Binance. It's the exchange that I use. It is, in my opinion, the best exchange you can use if you want to trade in the crypto market. If you aren't living in the States, you could use Binance US if you are living in the States. But in my opinion, because I live in Canada, it is by far the best exchange. It has the best liquidity. It has the best UI. It's dependable. It is all around a great platform, in my opinion. What chart is this? This is Chainlink compared with US Tether, and we're currently in a trade right now on the 5-minute chart because this market is open 24/7. And then we also have an opportunity on XRP if the price does make a move towards the downside on the larger time frame. For anyone following the crypto market, we obviously know the market is very bearish, where there's a lot of sell pressure coming in, but this is a counter trend trade. So then our risk reward is only really going to be looking at 2 or 3 to 1 compared to maybe a 3 to 4 or 1 if we were looking for a more trend trade. So, you know, ideally minimum of 2 to 1, and if the price is able to get there, we'll definitely like to take some off. And if the price is able to make that push a little bit higher, then that's great. That's phenomenal for us. But at this point in time, we are very happy with the current position we're in. We got 2 injections of buy pressure coming in. We got a decent amount of buy pressure coming in on this candle right here. That was the second injection or second entry that we have. And then now we're kind of sitting it with a doji candle with around 15 seconds until this candle closes. So that is that. No real questions on TikTok. No real questions on YouTube Live. So we're just going to sit here and be patient. Because that is the name of the game, is find good opportunities, be patient, trade them without emotion, and basically that's it. And also a major thing is understanding that you have to look at your trading in a series of trades, not in a single trade-by-trade case. Very, very important stuff. So got another 5-minute candle to close here. Did close green, not a huge amount, while getting a decent amount of sell pressure right away. We got 9 minutes left still on the 1 hour chart for all the charts here. So we still got 9 minutes until a major candle closes. But it is looking all right. We'll see how this candle closes. If it turns into no supply, that would obviously be great. But if it turns into a bit of a bearish candle, then obviously it's not awesome. But what I'm going to do is just stick with the plan, stick with what we have as a stop loss, and take profits, and not really deviate from what we initially had planned out. And then if it does go south, if it does go down, we'll look then to potentially enter XRP, because we see these higher lows with a little less buy pressure than we see on Link. On Link, we see more buy pressure within the recent price action, and the push up had more buy pressure on the pullback down. So it's looking like it's in a little bit more of a volume accumulation phase compared to XRP, and that's why we're longing Link and then using Ripple as a potential short opportunity. So we're marrying the volume spread analysis, we're marrying the historic volume with our theory, or with our bias of whichever pair that we're trading, accompanying with the right price action and with the right market structure. So it's not looking like not looking bad. BTC making a pretty strong push to the upside. That's good to see. Already got our entries in. If we do see more bullish volume come in, obviously we'd want to maybe add more once we break this zone here, because there's not a guarantee that there's going to be sellers here. It's just an area where we've seen sellers in the past, but that doesn't mean that we could blast off to form a significant move. So we'll see if the price is able to push above this minor level of resistance at around $3.72. If it's able to do that, that's great. And we got 7 minutes until this 1 hour closes, and this 1 hour is closing pretty damn bullish, it looks like, so that's good news for us. So just holding on to the Link long entry we have here as a counter trend trade. Not looking for crazy profits. We're looking for a dependable, consistent 2-3% risk reward. And that's kind of what we're going to be looking for here. Can I ask 2 questions? Yes, you can, Mr. Blue Star. How can I help you today? Also, while you're typing your question, I'm just going to get some water, but I will be back to answer your question. I have a stop loss in place. I don't have any take profits, but if it goes down, I will get taken out with with managed risk. And if it goes up, then that's great. I'm in profit. So I will be back shortly. I'll answer that question. All right, so can I ask 2 questions, Mr. Blue Star? Thanks. Yeah, no problem. So questions are, how long does it take to learn this to become good at it? That's the first question. So good question. First off, It depends on what you classify as good. It depends on what you want to do with it, what you want to do with trading, because you could have a full-time job doing whatever you're doing, or like an accountant, or if you're even if you're like working outside and don't have access to internet, you could swing trade. You can like longer term swing trade / invest. You can kind of do those things as well, or you can be very, very active if you want, and that's easier to kind of learn. Like more longer term investing strategies. Like understanding what ETFs are, understanding what REITs are, understanding what dividends are, understanding how to analyze a stock fundamentally, all that. So that's, in my opinion, a little bit easier to manage. But if you want to learn how to trade, it's a little bit more intense because you got to spend more time in front of charts and in that regard. But in my honest opinion, I'd say just for TA, in terms of understanding the charts, understanding what you're looking for, all that is about a year. And then psychology is probably like another year of like really understanding, or half a year, so like a year and a half ish, of like really dedicating yourself. Also, I'm moving my stop loss up to this zone right here, just below this area. So going to be moving that up because I want to reduce my risk, and we made it up pretty good here. And if that pullback does push back all the way down here, it's not looking awesome. We got 2 minutes until this candle closes for a bullish candle on the 1 hour. We will definitely get some transactions coming up here, so gonna set that a little bit lower. Not too much, but still being able to manage my risk here. So I'm going to put that like so. And then get my spread a decent. All right, so I got my stop loss even higher than where it was, so I'm slowly, incrementally increasing it to try to reduce risk, right? So I'm trying to get risk off the table, slowly, not too quickly, because I want to make sure the price has room to breathe in case of pullbacks. If I put the stop loss right to break even at this point, it's going to get taken out immediately, right? If the price jumps up a little bit and I move it up right away, I want to give the price room to breathe. It held a nice level of support. Hasn't really made a higher high. Holding a double top here. I'm afraid of the price making a double top, and if it breaks the support, it's going to drop further. So I want to quickly get out of the market if that does come into fruition. We don't see a no supply. There's a decent amount of supply for that second top, so it's not looking awesome. I basically reduced my risk to a point I'm happy with. It was at, I believe, 1.5 before, and now it's at 0.92. So, I reduced it by a third, which is pretty good. So, if you were risking 1% of your total portfolio, for example, now you're risking 0.33. So, pretty good with that. And then that opens us to potentially trade more opportunities in the future. We will see how Ethereum reacts to this zone. We just got the 5 minute to close and the new 5 minute opens. Let's see with the current trade that we're taking. Do you trade over smartphone? I never use mobile to trade. I fucking hate that shit. I just like having a setup like I have here with my many monitors. I have many monitors. That allows me to really see the different tools I need to assess the market. I have Heikin-Ashi candles. I have different time frames, and if I only have my little laptop, I'm not really, or even like a mobile device. That's even worse. That's the worst case scenario. So to manage an already placed trade, I don't mind. But if I'm having to enter trades based off of using a mobile device, then that gets a lot trickier, and it's something I don't want. when you're outside. Yeah, so I'll bring my laptop. I'll bring, like if I travel, I'll bring monitors with my laptop. So then I'll have multiple monitors for me to use. So it's not going to be a huge monitor, and it's not like I'm bringing 4. But, I'll have my laptop, which is a single monitor, obviously, and then I have another monitor that is going to give me 2 monitors and a little bit of space to work with. So then I'm able to get a little bit more information out of the markets compared to what I would be having to do if I just brought my mobile device. So the market's not doing a whole lot right now. Our chart did, our candle did close. Seeing a little bit of bearish volume come in on the 5 minute here, on BTC as well as Link. Got our stop losses. We are basically going to hold our ground, not going to do anything. We got our stop loss. We managed the risk as best we could. We didn't want to enter too early. We wanted to gauge where the support was going to be. So our first entry was just a small feeler here. And then we entered, let's get our arrow. And then we entered right here. Once we saw that increase in buy volume, we got a lot of buy volume here compared to the recent candles we saw. And then overall, we saw more buy volume than sell volume on the way down. And then once we saw the increasing buy volume again, once the second injection of buy volume came in, that's why we looked to enter at that area. But obviously right now, we're not seeing a tremendous amount of buy volume come into the market. We do see BTC is dropping a little bit. And this is why we wanted to reduce our risk as much as possible, because it's a counter trend trade. We might even push the price or push the stop loss even higher to maybe even right here. If it hits it, it hits it. So then we're reducing even another 0.3% from 0.92. Might actually do that here. So, because we were looking for that move to the upside. And unfortunately, if it's not going to come, it's not going to come. I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to try to prove the market I'm right. I'm just going to basically see if I get a good opportunity, enter on that opportunity, and then if it doesn't go my way, try to reduce my risk as much as possible, and basically assume that on a trade-by-trade basis, I don't have much of an edge, but over a series of trades, I have an edge. So I just do the best I can on every single trade. Thank you. I want to still watch what you're doing, but I gotta go. Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for joining in on this video. Pretty strong move here, but like I said before, we are just holding this zone right now on the 5 minute. We'll see what the next candle brings up, because we got basically 50 more minutes, 50 more minutes until this candle closes. And then we're basically going to see what the next candle brings us. BTC is looking a little bit bearish with the 1 hour. It is pulling back to validate the previous resistance as a new level of support, so it makes sense. But we do not want to get caught entering and losing too much money on a long trade here. So we really heavily reduced our risk by pushing the stop loss higher and higher, and we're still contemplating on putting the stop loss even higher again, like we see right here. So I'm probably actually going to be doing this right now, and if the price does go lower, it goes lower. Let's just see where this is right here. So and then we're going to get our all right, and then we'll cancel that. So we got our new stop loss zone right here. So we're now even reducing risk even more, right? So that is the name of the game. So we got that. If the price pushes up from that zone, that is great. We're super happy. If the price does close bearish beyond that point, we're just going to call it quits and then try to find a potential opportunity elsewhere in the market. But right now, it does look like we are potentially seeing a little bit more buyers in the markets, a little bit more bullish volume coming in, which is great to see. You know, looking at the different markets here. But at this point, reduced our risk higher and higher, and now we only have 0.6%. Initially, we had 1.5%. So we can say we reduced our risk by around like 66%, by like 2/3, which is pretty significant, right? That's what we're trying to do, reduce risk, reduce risk. Once it finds levels of support, we're going to reduce risk even more, right? So, you know, on the next push, we can even potentially put it lower. I think this is kind of the lowest we want to put it because a wick could definitely wick us out. But at this point, you know, I'm not going to hold on to this trade overnight unless I'm just going to put a stop loss, and it's going to be an OCO order with a kind of a 2-to-1, maybe 2.5, 3-to-1. Probably not 3-to-1, probably 2 or 2.5-to-1. Risk reward. An OCO order is a one cancels other order, but the market looks a little bit more bullish right now. So not going to sell or anything because we're basically at a break-even point, a little bit above a break-even point. Do you use divergence? No, I do not. I don't use any indicators. I use three things. I use price action, so ascending, descending zones, horizontal levels of supply and demand. That's one. I use market structure, so it's either making higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows, or it's making a consolidation phase. And then I also use something called VSA, which is volume spread analysis, which is a comparison and building a relationship between the supply and demand and the price action or the candles, and building a relationship and a story between the two. So that's what I use to make my trade analysis and basically go about trading in the crypto markets. So no, I do not use divergences. You're assumingly using divergences on like RSIs, MACDs. I'm not sure what else. There's a bunch of, I guess, ADXs. There's a bunch of stuff you could use divergences on. But to answer your question, no, I do not. So we're getting a little bit of pressure here. The first kind of resistance we're at is only 0.5% away, so it's not really worth anything to take. Makes sense, in my opinion, to have more confidence in your setup. Hopefully it pushes up higher into the 2 or 3 risk reward ranges, and then you're able to get that consistency. And you got to hit those risk rewards. If you know your stats, you got to hit your risk rewards. You got to be able to stick with it, have the patience, manage risk. BTC is doing pretty well, as we can see. This is XRP. Oh, I was thinking, like, that looks very odd. Yeah, this is Link. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so let's change XRP with Link. Oh, man. I thought that was XRP for like a while there. I was like, this looks very different. This looks very odd. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. So we're breaking over consolidation. We are entering into a resistance zone. We have to understand this, right? That's something that we definitely have to understand. And that's why we're looking to take profits pretty quickly, but we still think that the price will still get into this zone before we do want to take profit, in my personal opinion, right? So we'll see what happens. The price is basically right at a resistance right now. So looking at the order book and time and sales, there's definitely a lot of people hitting the ask. A lot of people just wanting to jump in and get into the market. As we can see, the market is reacting in a bullish fashion. Because of this, all the asks are getting taken up by the bulls. Opposite now, where people are hitting the bids. Ebbs and flows. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, we don't want to look at just the order book. We want to look at the price action as well. And we saw a decent amount of buy volume come in. Very, very bullish candle. And the previous candle here, the supply candle, definitely has a little less volume coming in. So I think at this point in time, I think I might actually close the TikTok depending on how many people are looking. I will check VSA out. Thank you. Yep, it's called Volume Spread Analysis. VSA. Seeing a little bit more sell pressure coming into the market here. Might actually move my stop loss just below here, like so. Just slowly, incrementally moving it up so we're able to get a good exit here if it does go against us. All right, so I got that good to go, and we still got 2 minutes left and 50 seconds on this candle, and then I put my stop loss there. If it hits it, it hits it. Started at 1.5 and now we're at 0.6, so didn't really reduce my risk too much, but you know, not every little bit helps, but we definitely try to push that stop loss up a little bit higher up if we can. It's just a matter of if we're able to break this level of support or not. And if we're able to, then we'll be looking pretty phenomenal. And if we're not, then we might have to cut this trade short a little bit. Off topic question, but do you trade on Bitfinex? No, I do not trade on Bitfinex. I trade on Binance. Let's see the people on YouTube. Just one person on YouTube here. And we got 8 people online on TikTok. 11:13 p.m. So it's definitely quite a bit later on the East Coast. But we'll see what this does. Yeah, there's no real off-topic question, so you can really ask any question you'd like. That's not a problem. We're happy to answer it for you there. Seeing a little pop in volume. Let's look at the order book and time of sales. Not a huge amount of buyers in the order book, surprisingly, considering the little pop. But got about a minute left on this 5-minute candle, this 5M candle. BTC making a pretty strong move towards the upside. Look at this. Now we are nearing a level of resistance at around 88. We do have to keep that in mind, but you know, it's looking pretty good for this trade. Hopefully it pops above the resistance. We're around 0.7 now, so we're not really seeing a huge increase. We'd like to get, you know, at least around the range of 2.5%. That would be a good opportunity for us to at least take some of our profit at a risk reward of 2 to 1. So then looking where we are right now, 2.5, you know, that's like right in the center of our supply zone. Definitely a potential opportunity for us to get. But if it does not reach there all the way, I'm not really going to get too butthurt if I don't get that nice 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. Because at this point in time, it's a little late. I just want this to be a quick scalp if we're able to get it. And we'll see what this next 5-minute candle brings us. We do see increasing buy volume coming in, which is good to see. We see a rejection from the sellers, where we see a wick to the downside, and then the buyers picked it back up, and we closed very bullish. We closed well above any of the previous closes we saw within the consolidation here, definitely showing that bulls are in the market. Don't want to move my stop loss to break even just yet. For me anyways, I think it's a little bit too early for that. You know, we're not really risking a whole lot. We were risking 1.5 and now it's at 0.6. So I'm okay with the level of risk I have because we are kind of capturing the whole consolidation phase if you're just talking about the bodies of the candles. And BTC still has a potential little bit more to climb, and that could just drive the price up a little bit higher up. So definitely the BTC 15-minute chart for the Heiken Ashi candles definitely seems pretty bullish. We're seeing increasing buy volume coming into the market, which is strong. Seeing a little bit of weakness here coming in, but that is all right. We do see buyers on the order book for Link here, and then still got 43 minutes on the hour candle, and we see more buy volume coming in on the previous candle here to push the price up. So I don't want to move the stop loss up to break even yet. It's looking like we are seeing some wicks to the upside, but we will see how this goes. So I'm just going to be leaving for one moment. I'll be right back, and then we'll continue on with the analysis. All right, let's see if anything happened here in the markets. Got a few people on YouTube and got 8 people on TikTok. Definitely seeing some sell pressure coming into the market. But we did have buyers coming in, right? So we don't have a no demand candle. So we know that there's buyers coming in. We reduced our risk significantly. Let's just look right here. Definitely getting some sell pressure coming in here. That math didn't seem right. There we go. That makes more sense. Okay. Just seeing, just doing some math. If you got any questions, drop them in the comment section and we'll be able to answer them. Seeing the buyers slowly pick it up here. Definitely seeing a bit of volatility on the way up, but we've seen the buyers pick it up before. We do have a stop loss pretty close, pretty tight in case the price does go back down. Probably just going to head to bed if that occurs and then take the very small loss. Remember, our stop loss was at 1.5. It's at 0.6. We reduced it significantly. And I think at this point, if it does go, you know, even if we move it a little bit higher up like so, I guess we could reduce it. I think I am going to even... do I give that much space? That's the question. I think I will. So I'm going to move it up a little bit more here. So it's at 0.55. I know it might not seem like a lot, but... all right. So we got our stop loss set right there. Very, very tight stop loss. So we're basically letting the price either go up or we are getting out of the trade. Because, you know, we were looking for the price to continue towards the upside. We got stuffed yet again by the resistance right here. So we got stuffed 1, 2, and then this was the stuff that for me kind of made me a little bit more hesitant, this stuff right here. So I reduced my risk even more, increasing the stop loss higher and higher to then the most recent high, or the recent low, sorry. And we're just going to let the price do its thing. If the price doesn't go all the way back up to this zone, to a higher point where I'm looking, then unfortunately it won't happen. But we will see what the price does. It's still really working hard. We see that there's a decent amount of volume coming in. We still got 2 hours and 2 minutes and 20 seconds left until this candle closes, and we already see that there's a lot of volume coming into the market. So we do want to give the price room, but we don't want to really just give that price enough room that we're not managing risk, but reduce risk. Because if we just manage risk, we just leave the stop loss where it is, and we haven't managed. But to reduce it is another game, because you don't want to reduce it too quickly. But we are kind of using the 5-minute chart. We are just looking for that solid push to the upside, and kind of get in and out of the trade real quick. And that's what we're looking for. So we'll see if the market is able to provide that strong push to the upside. That's basically what we're waiting for. On the actual order book, definitely looks like there is buyers in the market, but sellers definitely seem stronger at this point in time. A lot of people hitting the bid, a little bit bearish. And if it hits the stop loss, I'm probably going to head to bed. So we'll see what it does. At this point, you can't do anything. You're not going to do anything. We've raised our stop loss. We've reduced our risk. We still want to give the price room to breathe. We don't want to cut the trade out too quickly. And this is what we're doing, because we're still making higher lows theoretically. If we really wanted to look at the 1 minute, we could probably see that we are making higher lows. It would be nice to see this candle close green. Don't know if it'll happen, but we will see. Also, if you got any questions, just drop them in the comment section below, and I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. Really, really cutting it close for the 5-minute candle closure here, but we'll see what it turns out to. Definitely the alt's looking a little bit more bearish on all, from a lot of different alts that we're looking across the board. Just had the 5-minute close, a little bit of sell pressure coming in. And it's looking like we could close here. Don't think it hit yet. Nope, no trigger yet, but it's pretty damn close. If it goes like 1 more inch, it's gonna... That was close. Oh, there it goes. All right, well, that was that trade. I'm now out of that trade. I reduced my risk the best I can, and got out at basically a third of the amount of risk I wanted in that particular trade. So, or the amount of risk that I associated with that particular trade. So, not necessarily a bad thing. I'm all right with it. If the price holds, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great. Doesn't really matter to me. Gonna wake up early tomorrow, get on the grind, see what kind of opportunities we're able to make for tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching. That was, I guess, an example of a way that we are able to reduce risk to a point where it's almost getting risk-free exposure. That's the name of the game. And we are currently doing pretty good this month. That was not a bad, I'm all right with that loss. Even though it was a loss, we managed our risk. We did everything we were supposed to on our trade plan. We cut losses when we should have. Good trade overall, even though it didn't go our way. We're still going to be happy about that because we still did exactly what we should have done. All right. So yeah, that was a significant reduction. Sweet. All right. So good to see. So I'm basically done for the night. So I'm just putting my entries in here. If you got any questions, drop them in the comment section. And I'm basically done. Thank you very much for people who were on the YouTube. And then I will have the crypto market update and the BTC market update tomorrow yet again. So until next time, happy trading, everyone.